It's time now for Media Watch, for which we're joined by James Creedon. Hi, James.
Good evening.
Okay, well, it's a developing story. A lot of people trying to get a handle on the scope of this shooting in Connecticut, right, where it looks like over 24 people were killed. What has been the reaction so far on social media?
All right, well, it's been a changing and evolving story as the evening has gone on here on the European end, Georgia, time-wise, and what we're seeing this evening is names circulating on social media. Now, I've been careful not to choose tweets that are revealing the identity and showing photos, etc. These tweets are actually expressing caution. Turns out the shooter might be the brother of, we're seeing Lanza, as its surname mentioned, Ryan Lanza. Exactly the reason we should not be posting pictures and Facebook pages. Now, you've been seeing Facebook pages, links to Facebook pages of the suspected killer circulating quickly. Another person here saying 1 million journalists in inverted commas, now posting photos of any Adam Lanza they can find, because the New York Post and other US media are giving that name out. So Adam Lanza, Ryan Lanza, pictures, photos. It's also probably quite a common name, and as has happened in the past, people's identities are misrepresented, or the wrong person's photo is put out. So just a word of caution on that. The hashtags that are being most used to communicate messages about this are indeed Newtown. And I'll show you Newtown, where it happened, with tweets coming in every second, and indeed Connecticut as well. Lots of reaction as well in the last half hour to 45 minutes about Barack Obama's speech and how emotional he was. This is when a nation elects a human being as a president. So that person responding very positively to an emotional Barack Obama. Obama crying indeed became a hashtag for a time. This person saying, when Obama cries, our whole nation cries. That man hardly shows emotion. And here, this is Jean-Bernard Cadier, quite active on Twitter, formerly of France 24, a correspondent in the US. He says that he has no memory of ever having heard of a US president crying in front of the cameras at the White House. So basically unprecedented. Now, a little earlier, we were looking at reactions as well from people in Newtown itself. They're saying it's a quiet town. They cannot believe that this has happened. Kids are not safe anywhere. This person saying she is shattered, completely shattered. This is a terrible, horrible day for our poor little town of Newtown. So a lot of emotion coming through. Gun laws, obviously, being vastly discussed on social media as well, Georgia. Yet again, I'm feeling sick, says Matthew Bishop, wondering what it will take to get America to make a serious effort to tackle its gun problem. Now, actually, at Barack Obama, which is President Obama's Twitter handle on Twitter, was being inundated with messages saying, you are in your second term, you don't need to be re-elected, do something about this. Will the tears assuage that sort of anger that was initially directed at Barack Obama, but then he did react it seems, in a very compassionate and genuine manner? We'll have to wait and see. And a lot of people are reacting on social media, Georgia, with sort of primal emotions, the feeling that they'd like to help. People feel very involved in these sort of stories. I wish I could do something, anything, says this person, and this other person here saying, I've lost faith in humanity.
Now, there's also been some warnings circulating against the almost inevitable media scrum that's going to descend on Newtown that we've seen played out time and time again anytime a tragedy of this sort happens.
That's right. And you can see here a photo on social media, we've been seeing it on TV as well, of the absolute media scrum out there with satellite camera or satellite dishes, the whole lot. And a lot of people, of course, genuinely concerned, but also somewhat perhaps a little voyeuristic as well. People pointing to how scared, overwhelmed and confused the children looked. And it's sort of, you can't look away from these sort of pictures. It's that sort of a thing. Now, if you look here on the ABC News website, what they've done is they've actually blurred the faces of the children in this report. It's a report that I've paused on their website. But if you go further down on the page, they actually have that same picture not blurred. It shows the extent to which media act very quickly to cover a story like this, and decisions sometimes can be a little bit unclear. Now, I'll just finish with this tweet, Georgia, which I think is pretty telling. Be sensitive when seeking or using interviews or photos of those affected by tragedy or grief. #ethics, #Connecticut. Now, that was a tweet by the Society of Professional Journalists. And I suppose a warning really to social media in particular, which can act in a very lawless, kind of unregulated manner when it comes to covering a story like this. And as I was saying at the very top, photos circulating of the suspected killer, but also photos being shared to close-ups of the children in a moment when they are clearly shocked, bewildered and suffering. So that sort of media machine sometimes needs to be kept a little bit in place, although I suppose that is not really possible. But at least warnings like this are being put up in the appropriate places, hashtag Connecticut, for people who are looking for information about the killing. They can be given that reminder.
Thanks very much. James Creedon there with Media Watch.